I stood in front of 300 people wearing a dress I created but couldn't claim. My boss, Victoria Lauron, smiled under the spotlight, accepting praise for her genius design, while I watched from the shadows, invisible, erased, holding back tears that burned like acid. That was the moment I realized talent means nothing when someone powerful decides you don't deserve to exist. My name is Julie Miller, and this is the story of how I was buried alive by the woman who stole my dreams, and how I clawed my way back from the grave to destroy her empire with my bare hands. It started 6 months earlier. I was 26 years old, working at Lauron Couture, one of the most prestigious boutique fashion houses in the city. I wasn't the head designer. I wasn't even an assistant designer. I was a seamstress, the girl who fixed hems, adjusted waistlines, and stitched buttons while the real designers took credit for everything. But I didn't care. I was grateful just to be near fashion, to touch silk and lace, to breathe in the world I dreamed about since I was 8 years old, sketching dresses in the margins of my school notebooks. Victoria Lauron was a legend. 45 years old, cold, elegant, terrifying. She'd built Lauron Couture from nothing, and everyone worshipped her. She didn't just run the business. She was the business. Her name was on every dress, every collection, every magazine cover. And if you worked for her, you learned quickly. She owned everything you touched. Your ideas, your designs, your soul. I learned that the hard way. One night, I stayed late finishing alterations for a client. The studio was empty, quiet except for the hum of my sewing machine. I was exhausted, but my hands moved automatically, stitching delicate beadwork onto a sleeve. And then I saw it. A bolt of fabric tucked in the corner. Midnight blue silk with a shimmer that looked like starlight. It was breathtaking, beautiful, expensive, probably ordered for a custom piece that got canceled. Something inside me stirred, an itch I couldn't ignore, a voice whispering, "Create something." I shouldn't have. I knew the rules. Everything in that studio belonged to Victoria. But I couldn't stop myself. I draped the fabric over the mannequin, played with shapes, experimented with cuts. Hours passed. My fingers moved like they had a mind of their own. And by sunrise, I'd created something I didn't know I was capable of. A gown. Floor-length, backless, with a neckline that plunged just enough to be daring but not vulgar. The beadwork cascaded down the bodice like falling stars. It was elegant. Sexy. Timeless. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever made. I stepped back, staring at it, heart pounding. This was it. This was the dress that could change everything. I took photos on my phone, already imagining how I'd pitch it to Victoria. Maybe she'd finally see me. Maybe she'd let me contribute to the next collection. Maybe. What the hell is this? I spun around. Victoria stood in the doorway, perfectly dressed even at 6 a.m., her expression unreadable. My stomach dropped. I'm sorry, I stayed late and I saw the fabric and I want to try something. She walked slowly toward the mannequin, circling it like a predator. I held my breath. She touched the beadwork, examined the seams, studied every detail with those sharp, calculating eyes. Finally, she spoke. "Who designed this?" "I did," I whispered. Silence. Then she laughed. Not a warm laugh. A cruel one. "You? Julie, sweetie, you're a seamstress. You fix mistakes. You don't create. This," she gestured at the dress, "this is clearly a copy of something you saw online. Don't insult me by pretending you have original ideas." My face burned. "It's not a copy. I designed it myself. I worked all night." "You worked all night wasting MY fabric on a dress that looks like a cheap knockoff. Do you have any idea how much this material costs?" She stepped closer, her voice dropping to something venomous. "Let me make something very clear, Julie. You are not a designer. You will never be a designer. You're a worker bee. You do what I tell you. You don't think. You don't create. You execute. Do you understand?" Tears blurred my vision, but I refused to let them fall. "I understand." "Good. Now take this down and put the fabric back. If I catch you touching things that don't belong to you again, you're fired." She turned and walked away, heels clicking against marble floors, leaving me standing there shaking, humiliated, destroyed. But she didn't take the dress down. I should have realized that was suspicious. 2 weeks later, Laurent Couture announced their new spring collection. The entire fashion world waited. Victoria always made a spectacle of her launches. This time was no different. She rented out a gallery, invited every major buyer, blogger, and celebrity in the industry. 300 people packed into that space. And I was there in the back, wearing my plain black dress, holding a champagne glass I couldn't afford to drink from. The lights dimmed. Music swelled. Models walked the runway in Victoria's latest designs. Beautiful clothes, yes, but nothing revolutionary. Nothing special. I watched politely, wondering why she seemed so confident tonight. She usually reserved this level of theatrics for something groundbreaking. And then the final model walked out. I stopped breathing. It was my dress. The midnight blue gown I'd created. Every detail exactly as I designed it. The beadwork, the neckline, the way the fabric moved like water. But on the program, in bold letters it said, "Designed by Victoria Laurent." The crowd erupted in applause. People stood. Critics scribbled notes. Buyers pulled out their phones to place orders immediately. And Victoria stood on that stage, glowing, accepting congratulations, talking about her vision and her creative process, and how this piece represented her evolution as an artist. She stole it. She stole my dress. And she was taking credit in front of the entire industry. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not my heart. Something deeper. My sense of reality. My belief that hard work mattered, that talent would be recognized, that justice existed in any form. After the show, I found her in the back room, surrounded by admirers. I pushed through the crowd. "Victoria, we need to talk." She turned, eyes cold. "Not now, Julie. That dress. You know I designed it." The room went quiet. Everyone stared.
Victoria smiled.
That terrifying, condescending smile. "Julie, darling, you're confused. You're the seamstress who assembled it based on my sketches. Don't embarrass yourself by trying to take credit for my work. I have photos. Time-stamped photos from the night I made it. Photos of you constructing a dress I designed. Thank you for your service, but let's not pretend you're capable of original thought." She turned to the crowd. "Julie's a wonderful seamstress. Very reliable, but she sometimes forgets her place." Laughter rippled through the room. Not loud, just enough to sting. Enough to make me feel small. Stupid. Insane for even suggesting I could create something that beautiful. I left that gallery feeling like a ghost.
Like I didn't exist.
And for the next month, I moved through life in a numb haze. I kept working at Laurent Couture because I needed the paycheck. I kept sewing, kept fixing hems, kept being invisible. But at night, alone in my tiny apartment, something started growing inside me. Not hope, not optimism. Something darker. Something that tasted like rage mixed with determination. I thought about that dress constantly. About Victoria's smirk. About the applause that should have been mine. About the career I'd never have if I stayed in her shadow. And then I made a decision that changed everything. I set up my phone on a stack of books, hit record, and I started sewing. I didn't have expensive fabric. I used thrift store finds, clearance materials, but I had skill, I had vision, and I had nothing left to lose. I narrated as I worked, explaining techniques, showing the process, talking about why I loved fashion. I posted the first video expecting nothing. Maybe 10 views. Maybe none. It got 500 views in 2 days. The second video got 3,000. The third got 50,000. And the fourth video, a time-lapse of me creating a red carpet-worthy gown from scratch in my living room, went viral. 2 million views in 24 hours. My phone exploded with notifications. Comments flooded in. People were mesmerized watching someone create high-fashion pieces in a cramped apartment with a $20 sewing machine. Within a week, I had 100,000 followers. Within a month, 500,000. Fashion bloggers shared my videos. Magazines reached out for interviews. And then it happened. A B-list actress DM'd me asking if I'd design a dress for an awards show. She couldn't afford haute couture prices but loved my work. I said yes. I made her an emerald green gown that photographed like a dream. She wore it on the red carpet,
Tagged me.
gave me full credit. And overnight, my inbox became a war zone of requests. More actresses, influencers, singers. Everyone wanted a Julie Miller original. I quit Laurent Couture without notice. Just stopped showing up. Started working from home full-time. Hired an assistant. Then another. Rented a small studio space. And 6 months after Victoria stole my dress, I was running a legitimate business. Not huge. Not yet. But growing. Thriving.
Real.
That's when Victoria called. Julie, darling, I've been following your little social media project. Very cute. Listen, I'm willing to forgive your unprofessional exit if you come back. I could use someone with your work ethic. I almost laughed. I'm not interested. Don't be stupid. You're playing dress up on the internet. That's not a real career. Come back before you embarrass yourself further. The only embarrassment here is you pretending to be a designer when you haven't had an original idea in years. You're a thief, Victoria. And everyone's going to know it. Silence. Then her voice turned to ice. Careful, Julie. You don't want to make an enemy of me. Too late. I hung up. 2 days later, Victoria posted on her Instagram claiming she'd mentored me, that my success was because of her teachings, and that she was proud to see her protege grow. The comments filled with people congratulating her for being so supportive. I saw red. I'd been quiet, professional. I'd taken the high road. But this was too much. I opened my laptop, pulled up the time-stamped photos from the night I created the blue dress, screen recorded the metadata showing the exact date and time, weeks before Victoria's collection launch. Found an old voice memo where she'd berated me, calling me talentless. Compiled emails where she'd explicitly said I was just a seamstress. Gathered every piece of evidence I had. And then I made a video, 20 minutes long.
Calm. Clear.
Devastating. I showed everything. Told the entire story. Didn't exaggerate.
Didn't need to.
The truth was damning enough. I titled it, The Truth About Victoria Laurent. Posted it. And watched the world explode. Within hours, it had 1 million views. Major fashion publications picked it up. Victoria's clients started canceling orders. Her boutique's Instagram got flooded with comments calling her a fraud. Celebrities who'd worn her designs posted apologies. The industry turned on her faster than I'd imagined possible. Laurent Couture closed 6 months later. Victoria tried to rebrand, to start over, but nobody would work with her. Nobody would buy from her. She'd spent decades building a reputation, and I destroyed it in 20 minutes with nothing but the truth. Last I heard, she's teaching fashion at a community college. Not designing. Not creating.
Just existing.
And me? I just opened my 3rd studio. Dressed 12 celebrities for the Met Gala. Got offered a collaboration with a major luxury brand. My designs are in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Elle. My name, Julie Miller, is finally on the work I create. I'm not just surviving.
I'm thriving.
And every time someone wears one of my dresses, every time I see my name in print, I think about that night Victoria called me talentless. She was wrong. I do have talent. I just needed her out of my way to prove it.